What is happening, guys? It is Thursday and we are at the Hack and Pack Shop and we're going to go over a few different things today. I don't know how long this video is going to be. I'll try to keep it as short as possible though, because I know a lot of our attention spans aren't very long. Alright, first of all, I got the Trans Am in here for getting it ready for the winter. Just going to go through and detail it, give it a real good wax job. I'm going to get it ready to go over on the other side of that wall. I know one of you mentioned in one of my videos, I don't know if it was on the Pisters channel or this channel, you're like, man, your shop looks a lot bigger from the outside than the inside. Well, that's because 1/3 of the building is on the other side of that wall. That's my storage side. Over there is where I keep the Subaru, the Jeeps over there, and there's an Acura TL over there, and then my old four-wheeler. I'll show you guys that real quick here. I don't know if any of you, or a few of you have not seen the Subaru. I know a bunch of you are just subscribing that are new. Let's see if we can get in here. Subaru. It's my little amphibious car I built a couple years ago. But this is the storage side. The freaking Jeep sitting over here. I got to get the tire pumped up on this thing and get this thing fired up and get it out of here. I also got an Acura TL that's been sitting back here for quite some time now, and that thing's just dirtier than dirty. But unfortunately, the TL's got to come out of here. I'm going to have to drop that over at the dealership because I can't really keep it outdoors here. So I'm going to take that to the dealership. This is going to go where the TL is going, and Subaru will come up here where the four-wheeler is, and then hopefully my Trans Am will fit in here, and we'll still have room for more shit. All right. Well, now a couple of you that have wondered, now you know. There's a storage side to this building. Okay. We got ourselves a 2001 Chrysler Town & Country dealer vehicle in here. Oh yeah. 127,000 miles on it. It's in here for a little bit of rust repair. Alright. Now let's get to business. The last video I put on this channel was on my Lincoln LS. Let me grab the keys here real quick for that. And we put a throttle body on it. Well, guess what? I misdiagnosed it. I sure did. Now, it was coming up code p2107, which comes up to be something in the throttle body. I forget if it was a throttle actuator or something for the IAC motor or something. Anyway. But the check engine light has come on since, and it has gone into limp mode since. Now I want to show you guys something here in this car. I'm not going to bash Ford, okay? I'm not going to do it because GMs do it, Chryslers do it. They're all doing it now. So this is the deal. These cars, most of today's cars, have a coil for every single cylinder, okay? There's no spark plug wires on these cars. There's no distributor cap, no points, nothing like that. Okay, these cars have coil on spark plug. Most of today's cars do, which means that there's a spark plug in the head. The coil goes right directly on top of the spark plug. So there is an individual coil for every spark plug. This is the throttle body that we changed. Okay. Now, if you look here, I'll just pop this cover off for you real quick. I will show you what I mean by coil on plug. Alright, right here. If you look, that's an ignition coil. Right below that is a spark plug wire. There's one there, and there's one back there. Okay? You can get to these three no problem. I had them all out yesterday and checked these three plugs, and these three plugs look just fine. Alright, now let me shut you off for a second so I can put this back together. We'll continue. Alright guys, sorry about that. Now, on this side of the engine, this is your intake manifold. Big aluminum sumbitch here, okay? Underneath this intake manifold, about here, here, and back here, there's 3 more spark plugs and there's 3 more coils. You have to take that aluminum intake manifold off to get to those. And it's probably going to take a little bit of time, and I just do not have that time. Okay? At least right now I don't. Now, this is the deal though. These cars do not have a throttle cable on them. These cars, everything is electronically transferred from one thing to another. The gas pedal has sensors on it. When you're accelerating, it tells this sensor here on the throttle body, okay, open the butterfly. Okay, there's no cable like the old school. They started doing this, at least on these cars, in 2003, which in my opinion is a shit setup, okay? On the V8 models, it's a 3.9 liter V8 engine, okay, for the V8s. Is what they're saying to do is to swap the number 2 and the number 4 coil out, okay? On these particular cars, like on this car, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay? That is your cylinder placement. They don't go, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, okay, like a lot of the old cars. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, that's how these particular cars are, and the V8 is the same exact thing, except add 2 more cylinders. Now, what they're saying is the coil, the number 4 coil, if it's going bad, it's going to send an RF radio signal out, and it's going to mess with the PCM somehow. It's actually going to cause radio interference, causing these things to trigger that sensor to make the stupid thing go into limp mode. Yeah, it's stupid. Well, in this particular car, there is no 8th cylinder, okay? Or 4th, I mean, okay? No 4th on this side of the bank. Alright, I'm sorry. So I'm wondering if maybe my number 3 coil pack isn't acting up. Maybe I should swap 1 and 3 out. I don't know. I don't want to spend $50 a piece and put 6 coil packs on this stupid thing. That's $300 in coil packs when I might only need 1. So I got to figure out a way to test these. Okay, but the car is still going into limp mode, and it is still throwing a check engine light. Again, the codes are p2107, and then the p2110 is to tell you that it did go into limp mode. The 2107 is something to do with the throttle body, or the throttle actuator. Alright, and then we'll take a look at the escape here. I've got it all cleaned up. I don't have the inside totally done yet, but it does look a hell of a lot freaking better than it did before. Alright. I'm happy with the body, guys. I know the paint is just a touch off, but you know what? Like I said, it actually looks better in person than it does on camera. Okay? The inside, for the most part, is cleaned up pretty good. Okay? It looks like a good, respectable vehicle again. You would never know this vehicle had 271,000 miles on it. You would never know. I mean, there's no wear and tear in the interior, nothing. You know? It actually, it came out pretty good for being a rollover, you know, a week ago. I'm very happy with it. I put a couple hundred miles on it. It did have a misfire, and it ended up being a clogged injector. I put some injector cleaner in it, and the thing's been great. So, and then I have a question to answer. I've been emailing this gentleman back and forth for the past day or so. Is what he's doing, he's doing a repair job on a car. And as what's happening is he's putting his base coat on, and the base coat is lifting off of, I don't know if it's off of his primer or off of the previous finish on the car, and he's trying to do a blend out. But this is the deal. My guess, if the base coat's lifting, that vehicle had some prior paint work done to it, okay? That's usually when I run into problems, if somebody else has been there before, and I go ahead and try to put some base coat over what they had on there before, it's going to lift it up. Okay, back in the day, you had lacquer paint and you had enamel paint. Those are pretty much your only options back in the 80s when I started learning bodywork, okay? In the old school thing, and they still pretty much use that today, you cannot put lacquer over enamel. Okay, we'll pretend that the base coat is lacquer, and we'll pretend the clear coat on today's cars is enamel. Even though it's not, they're both a urethane-based setup. But I do believe that some of the base coats are more of a lacquer-based than a urethane-based. Because you can mix lacquer thinner with base coat to thin it down. I've done it before when I've gotten in a pinch, and it's worked just fine, okay? But this is the deal. Is what I would suggest for you, if it's lifting, like I told you in the email, go ahead and take that whole area and sand it out with 400. Wet sand it out with 400. Feather it out real good. Like right here, this is a very good feather edge. You can see how wide it is. Okay, you cannot feel that. Okay, you cannot feel it to the touch. If you cannot feel it, you will not see it. Okay? Anything you can feel in bodywork, you will see. Like say I go ahead and paint this here, where this kind of looks crappy. if I just say paint it over it, you will see it, because nothing's feather edge. There's actually stone chips in there, okay, behind where somebody else had done a little crazy brush touching. Alright, this has all got to be feathered out nice and smooth prior to me painting, or you will still see that chip. The way the sun's going to reflect off of it, it's going to magnify the chip, okay? Or make the chip darker, but in most cases with metallic colors, it will magnify that chip, okay? So if you go ahead and wet sand it with 400, I would suggest repriming the panel. Now, I don't know what you're using for primer. You might be using like a spray can lacquer type base primer. They do still make enamel primer. You can be using like an epoxy primer. Most epoxy primers, though, do not lift, from my experiences. And when I've run into a lifting problem, I've usually gone over the top of that area with an epoxy primer, wet sanded it, and then gone ahead and put my base coat over the top of that. As long as you're putting the base coat on in thinner coats, okay, this colder weather does affect it. Okay, it takes longer for stuff to dry, so it's going to take longer. With that wet base coat sitting on that panel longer, you have a lot higher chances of it lifting because it's not drying immediately. Most base coats dry to the touch in 10 minutes, 15 minutes, okay, depending on how thick you put it on. I mean, I've put base coat on in 15-minute intervals, you know, and in the last coat, say there would be a bug or something that lands in it or some dust. Half hour later, I'm wet sanding that out and going over the top of it with another powder coat of base, okay? Just to kind of fuzz in that area and make it look a little bit better. It's a good possibility you might be able to go back over that area after you wet sand and feather edge it smooth with just base coat, but you're going to have to dust it on real light. And I mean dust it on to the point where it feels like sandpaper, okay? And then what you're going to have to do is wet sand with, say, 800, 1000 grit in between coats and just keep smoothing it out. And on the last coat, put it on just a little bit heavier so you don't have to wet sand. Because a lot of times when you wet sand metallic base coat, it's gonna the sand scratches will show up. Okay, the metallic is just not going to look right. Okay, so regardless, on your last coat, you are not going to be able to wet sand that unless it's just a solid color like a black or a solid blue or a solid red. Okay, then you can get away with it. But if it's a metallic color, you really can't. You know, the best thing you can do is pretty much tack cloth it and go ahead and clear it. So I hope that helps you out a little bit, buddy. You know, clear coat, just, you know, take your time with that. Because it is a cooler climate now for a lot of us. Stuff takes longer to dry. The base coat takes longer, the primers take longer, body filler, clear coat. Okay, I just did a Cadillac a couple days ago and freaking thing come out perfect. I mean, it was silver too. Color match was dead on, 100%. And I went to clear it, and a second coat of clear, I freaking got a little bit of a run in it. So I had to ship, the guy needed the car back the same day, so I shipped it to him, said, hey, there's a run. He's like, I don't even see it. Well, you got to get down on your hands and knees to see it, but still. All right, it's a nicer Cadillac, you know. I want the thing right, so he's actually bringing it back tomorrow so we can wet sand and buff the run out of it. So, with all that being said, I'm going to let you guys go. Hopefully that helps you out a little bit. Some of you Ford techs, hopefully you're on the same page that I am with the code p2107 on my 04 3.0 Lincoln LS. I think it's probably a bad ignition coil. I just don't know which one, okay? So I guess they say you can stress test those, but I have no clue on how you can do that, and I know I couldn't do it myself. So I did pull the 3 out of the driver's side because I know those cars are known for leaky valve cover gaskets, and a lot of times the oil will leak down into the spark plug hole and freaking really screw up those coils, but it was dry as a bone. Matt was here, matter of fact, last night, and you know, everything, at least on the driver's side, was good. So you know, I'd like to just figure out which coil it is, but I think we're going to have to do like a live, we're going to have to hook it up to a scanner that shows you live data and, you know, just drive around until it misfires, and hopefully that scanner will pick it up and it'll tell me which cylinder misfired, because it's such a small misfire it doesn't even pick it up on the computer. Like my scanner doesn't even pick it up. It shows absolutely no codes for a misfire whatsoever. Like I said, it comes up that 2107 for something to do with the throttle body, and then it comes up the 2110 for telling you that, hey, the car went into limp mode. So it's not throwing any kind of a misfire code. That would make my life a lot easier if it did, but unfortunately it's not, okay? I mean, and you can never feel the car really skip a beat. Once in a while you might feel a little bit of doop, you know what I mean? Just a little teeny bit of a misfire on hard acceleration, but that's it. And I mean, it's not even all the time. It might be once a week. So, but whatever it is, it's still not triggering the OBD2 system to show you which cylinder is misfiring. So, any of you Ford guys out there that know about these things and work on them every day, I'm hoping you're on the same page. You're going to say, okay, it's a coil, and then I just got to figure out which one it is. So I appreciate your help, guys. I hope my information helps you guys a little bit. So all that being said, we'll talk to you guys later. Enjoy. See ya.